Ontario does have the safest roads, but that being said,
c'est fou, hein? Ça a repris le Québec. Ça a repris le Québec et un reportage à la CBC à Toronto de Marketplace pour mettre en lumière ce qui se passe depuis plusieurs années et qui a pris une ampleur incroyable depuis la pandémie, le stratagème chauffeuring versus l'Ontario. Début de ce reportage, on voit le ministre des Transports ontarien qui mentionne que ces routes en Ontario sont les plus sécuritaires. Et des petites nouvelles pour vous, vous n'êtes pas sortis de Toronto. Dans ce reportage, je vous mets en ligne une conférence de presse que le député Guy Bourgouin en Ontario a fait hier avec des membres de la page Facebook Trucking for Safety Highways. Si je me trompe, vous me pardonnerez. C'est très intéressant. On le sait que ce n'est pas assez, mais au moins on en parle. De quoi qu'il parle? D'un projet de loi pour inciter, pour obliger les nouveaux chauffeurs de camions classe A et D en Ontario à avoir une formation de 20 heures sur un simulateur en conduite hivernale. Vous et moi, on le sait que ça va servir à rien, mais ce qui est le fun, c'est que les députés commencent à mettre de la pression. Et de la pression, croyez-moi, si en Ontario, il n'y en a pas assez, ici au Québec, on ne lâchera pas le morceau. On va continuer. Un 20 heures, c'est pas assez, c'est sûr, ça prend une réforme complète. Ça prend un ministère des Transports, un ministre des Transports qui met ses culottes. Puis à date, je vous le dis en Ontario, on le répète, c'est pas mal tout de votre faute présentement, ce qui se passe à la grandeur du pays. C'est de votre faute, on va le dire, là. Vous avez complètement échoué. Vous avez laissé rentrer des gens de partout, sans aucune formation. Et malheureusement, vous tolérez les stratagèmes en place en ne faisant absolument rien. Bon reportage.
Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis aujourd'hui prêt à présenter mon plus récent projet de loi qui comprend de nouvelles mesures visant à améliorer la sécurité routière de l'Ontario. Je suis accompagné par Travis McDougall, cofondateur de Truckers for Highway Safety et cofondateur de Trucker for Safer Highways, et Mark Andrews, défendeur de sécurité routière. Dans le nord de l'Ontario, en particulier, nos routes sont notre lien vital. Nous comptons sur elles pour nous rendre à nos écoles, travailler et aller chez le médecin partout. En hiver, les tempêtes de neige rendent la conduite sur ces routes dangereuse, mais pour les conducteurs même pour les conducteurs les plus experts. Nous sommes seulement au début du mois de décembre et nous avons déjà eu 2 tempêtes de neige qui ont causé de nombreuses fermetures et d'innombrables accidents. Le ministre aime dire que nos routes sont les plus sécuritaires dans l'Amérique du Nord, mais je peux vous garantir qu'il ne dirait pas ça s'il aurait conduit sur la route 11 et 17 en plein hiver. Malheureusement, lorsque les chauffeurs de camionneurs n'ont pas la formation adéquate, les accidents sont pratiquement inévitables. Les conducteurs inexpérimentés et non formés mettent la vie de tous en danger. Récemment, l'enquête de Marketplace a dévoilé que les centres de formation et de permis de camionneurs acceptaient des pots de vin et contournaient la formation obligatoire. C'est pourquoi mon dernier projet de loi propose que tous les nouveaux conducteurs, avant d'obtenir un permis de classe A ou D, suivent une formation initiale obligatoire comprenant au moins 20 heures de formation sur un simulateur de camion lourd dans des conditions hivernales. Le gouvernement manque à cette obligation, les gens meurent sur nos routes. Avec une meilleure formation, certains de ces accidents tragiques auraient pu être évités. J'espère que le ministre des Transports envisagera de soutenir ce projet de loi afin de mettre en œuvre des solutions réelles pour améliorer la sécurité de nos routes. Je vous remercie de votre attention. Je vais passer la parole à Mark Andrews qui va vous dire quelques mots. I'll pass now to Mark Andrews so he can say a few words about this bill.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. When I was asked to speak on this bill, it was interesting. I started looking at time, so I'm going to take you back to 1984. A young constable, I was much younger at the time, was dispatched to a collision on Highway 2 in Brant County. A transport truck drove through a truck stop. The rookie driver was at the wheel, the coach driver was asleep, and the rookie driver realized that he had just driven past his stop. The truck wiped out the gas pumps, drove right into the truck stop, and thankfully no one was seriously injured. The Ontario Provincial Police 2023 annual report shows in the past 3 years over 24,000 collisions have been involving commercial motor vehicles and trucks. This is only in the OPP jurisdiction and not including all the other police jurisdictions in the province of Ontario. In those 3 years, 234 people died in those collisions involving commercial motor vehicles. The average weight of a commercial motor vehicle unloaded semi-trailer can average between 5 to 12.5 tons. At 100 kilometers an hour, a vehicle travels the length of a hockey rink in 2 seconds. Our capacity as humans to perceive a situation and react to that situation takes 1.5 seconds. We know that people under stress make poor decisions 70% of the time. Simulated training, is used to enhance experience, to know what might occur before, so students can make a good decision because they have experienced the situation in a simulator, not on the highway. On today's highways, we have undertrained drivers. We have undertrained drivers experiencing winter conditions for the very first time. They're experiencing other traffic. They're experiencing wildlife, sudden change in road conditions. All the time, it's real time. It's not in a simulator. There's no room for error. There's no room for second guessing. You have to make a second decision in 1.5 seconds as you travel the length of a hockey rink to either take the ditch, try to get the vehicle stopped, or do you collide with that vehicle that's done something in front of you? I've been to these crashes. I've walked the scenes. I've looked at the aftermath and the carnage in Northern Ontario. I did it for many, many years before I retired. I've spoken with the survivors. I've spoken with the drivers. I've spoken to families who are looking for someone to come home that are never coming home. Simulation training will resolve some of this. It will introduce new drivers to a situation in a safe, controlled environment, not out on our highways, not out there with us, driving in winter, in summer, spring. Pick the time. The concern for the cost of this should not take the cost of a life. It shouldn't be considered even on par with a life. Simulation training is used in so many industries across the world for driving and for every other kind of industry, and I think it needs to be in this situation with commercial motor vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And now I'll pass the mic to Travis McDougall.
Thank you, Guy, and good afternoon. My name's Travis McDougall. I'm the co-founder of Truckers for Safer Highways, and I stand before you today to advocate for critical change on our highways. Mandatory winter driving training for commercial truck drivers in Ontario. Currently, too many drivers are entering the industry without the essential skills to navigate our harsh winter conditions. They lack the knowledge of how a truck behaves on icy roads, how to adjust their driving techniques, and the importance of recognizing their limits. This dangerous gap in training puts countless lives at risk. Minister Sarkaria himself often boasts that Ontario has some of the safest highways in North America. I'm told this morning he said the same thing again. But as a truck driver, I see a different reality. I witness reckless driving, poor decision making, the lack of respect for the road, and many skilled, experienced drivers are leaving the industry due to safety concerns and unsustainable working conditions. We as truck drivers used to be called and known as brothers of the highway. Now it would be more realistic to call us survivors of the highway. The past few weeks, in particular, have been a stark reminder of the dangers we face, particularly in Northern Ontario. We have seen several fatalities from many tragic collisions, which in turn also shut down our transportation routes for extended periods of time. We, being Truckers for Safer Highways, have urged the Minister of Transportation to implement concrete improvements in training and enforcement across the province. However, to date, we've received no indication of their willingness to take action. Despite the minister's attendance at the opening of a new inspection station near Shania, Ontario, in March of 2024, this station remains frequently closed. I personally witness this weekly, and it's clear to us that limited operation of these inspection stations are insufficient. After 3 years of tireless advocacy, we've seen no progress, none. We remain committed to working with any party to ensure safer highways for all. The bill introduced today is a crucial step towards improving highway safety, and we thank Guy for bringing it forward. Even more can be done, and we need the government to finally recognize how dangerous it is for drivers on our highways and to take action to address it. We need a complete review and upgrade of MELT, which is mandatory entry-level training, increased regular inspections using these inspection stations to their complete potential, and a comprehensive review of the entire driver licensing procedures, including examinations and its management. Winter has only just begun, and the toll it has taken on our roads is already extremely tragic. Let's not wait for yet another disaster. Let's act now and ensure that every truck driver is equipped to handle the challenges of being a professional truck driver with the knowledge and skills to handle winter driving. The lives of countless people depend on it.
Thank you, Travis. So we'll open the mics for question. We're open for question from the media.
If you have a question, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. Once again, it is *1 to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is an addition to what's in MELT now? This is just as a clarification?
Yeah, this would be an addition. An addition to MELT, that they'd be for all new drivers, of course. If this would pass, this would be 20 hours, extra hours on the simulator.
It'd be like an amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would come as an amendment to give them exposure or road condition on.
Should probably take some sort of winter driving.
Yes, we could. Yes, we could. There's argument. But that's why it's so important that it goes to committee. And we have this discussion with the stakeholders. And because, and this is why we say all new drivers, because once you're on the road, they're working, they're all over the country. It makes it a little bit difficult. But when there's a will, there's a way. That may mean, if the government feels that it should be, they have the power to amend it and say, well, within a period of 3 or 5 years, you would have to go through, let's say, 20 hours of training on the simulator. But we're just looking to grandfather all of the drug drivers and start with a new amendment for the simulators.
And you referenced the Fifth Estate report on the truck driving schools. Have you seen any movement?
We haven't seen any. We asked many questions on the minister on this, and the minister says, there's just a few bad players, but it's more than that. It's systemic. We've seen with Marketplace that it's just not just 1 or 2 bad players. It's more than that. And I even I spoke in the House about this and said, no, they should be withdrawing their licenses and then call back a year of truck drivers so that they pass another test. If they don't pass, well, they shouldn't be behind the wheel. But we never respond. The minister has never done. We never got an answer from the minister. What's his intention on this, except saying that we have the safest highways, and just it's only a few bad players, and we'll do anything in our power to stop it. So, but we haven't heard anything or seen anything. You want to?
So, it should be noted that there's good carriers like, for instance, where I work, where some of our members work. And these carriers are trying to hire newly licensed driver under the MELT program, right? So before Marketplace, carriers knew that there is bad training schools out there. And so there's a pre-employment road test for all new drivers, or at least good carriers will do that, right? You go out and you drive with somebody that's good at the company, a safety officer or whatever, and you show that you're good at your job or that you're qualified to be licensed, right? Before you get hired to be a truck driver at any of these companies in Ontario. What's being seen is most new drivers are having a hard time getting a job at these good carriers because they're going out with drivers that are already hired, safety officers on their pre-employment road test, and they're scaring these safety guys. So they've already got their license by Ontario. As far as Ontario's concerned, they're good truck drivers. They're ready to go on the road. But a lot of good carriers are saying, we're not hiring them. It's too big a risk. They're scaring our safety, our safety drivers. And so the unfortunate part is there's not just good carriers out there. We have bad actors. So these drivers are going to get hired by somebody, and they're not prepared. So we're seeing these drivers somewhere are getting on the road.
Thank you. You want to say a few
Yeah, when I mentioned that the simulation training is all over the world, I've been fortunate to travel to many places around the world and also have colleagues in many places, Australia, United Arab Emirates, in the European Union and United States, and in Central America. This simulation training is being used in many, many other locations. It's effective. It's so effective because it gives them some experience before they get out there. What we're seeing, and anecdotally from officers who are still working, unlike me, retired, they're seeing new drivers who are doing things like on an icy hill using windshield washer fluid to try to get traction under their tires on a live lane. They're seeing the horror stories go on and on. We need to get proper training. The Marketplace really brought this whole thing to light. We've known about it for a long time. When I mentioned that story from 40 years ago, my question was, what's the training standard for a commercial motor vehicle driver when I had 1 year on the job? And here we are 40 years later, asking the same question.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And we have to say, there is good carriers out there. Because I've spoken to them about this bill also, and they say it's a good thing. No, we need to do more. So let's not think that they're all bad carriers out there. They're not. But we have to do something. And Quebec does simulators for truck drivers. So it's not something that we're asking that doesn't exist elsewhere in Canada.
The system where some drivers are told that they're independent contractors, but really they don't own their trucks, they don't own their equipment. Does that play into the safety aspect as well?
Well, if you get your license, you have to be licensed for Ontario. So you just don't drive a truck. If it's your truck, if you're an owner operator, you just drive your truck. But if you drive another company's truck, by the end of the day, Ontario has given the license to be ready to operate a truck. I don't blame the truck driver, because if he has a family to live, he's going to go drive a truck. I blame the institution that gave him the training, gave him bypass the system, that so that he can have the melt and go pass his license. I don't blame the truck. I blame the institution, and they know who they are. The ministry should know who they are, because Marketplace pretty well, identify them. But we know there's a problem out there, so they should be investigating this, and they should be all over this. But we have drivers that are not qualified out there, and it's scaring, and people are afraid. I can tell you, on Highway 17 and 11, people are afraid. And that's the only road we have. We don't have bypasses. We don't have other highways. We have 17 and 11, and it's 2-lane highways. And we have winter, a long winter, not like here. So it is a concern for a lot of my constituents. And if you live up north, I can tell you, when winter comes, you're not happy if you have to use the road, but you have to. That's the only way we get around. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.